happy to be here. Uh-oh. Okay, I'm not leading the meeting anymore if it's being recorded. I refuse to be recorded this early in the morning because I got about maybe 5 hours of sleep last night, but hey, that's okay. We are we're getting ready to rock and roll. Kids, we start at breakfast at 8:30. At 8 o'clock, we roll the kids out of bed here, and I'm happy. I'll pay up when I come back next week. I am happy to be here. It is a good thing. It is wonderful. The kids are great. So it's a second go around, and it's wonderful. It is. This is my passion. This is my Rotary passion. And this is this is when I became a Rotarian, is when I got hooked up with RYLA. So.
Amen.
And was Dave able to get our guest worked out for this morning, or?
Our what?
Our guest, weren't we supposed to try to go into Serbia this morning? And
oh, I thought you were our speaker.
Oh, okay. Oh my goodness. All right. Well,
isn't that right?
He left the room.
Oh no,
yeah.
I'm told to somebody else. I guess I didn't read right.
Okay. Well, here, let me show you the wonderful computer lounge here at. Oh, I can't because I've got my
blue
screen on. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's see. How do you turn that off?
No. Settings.
Settings, background. Heather
Settings,
says.
background. Okay.
Yeah. Well, is that where they're at this year?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we're at Warrensburg this year. It was Valerie told us last night that it was the 7th venue that they contacted to try to hold this in person. And they either couldn't handle or something, or weren't doing live camps or academies, but this place is hopping. They've got 500 Mormon students here with us in the same dorm, and they've got soccer camp going on and several other camps. So it's a hopping campus this morning.
Hey, Jerry, any interest in our proposal?
I haven't brought it up to them. The opportunity has not yet presented itself, but I will take care of that and let them know. So they were kind of trying to get staff idea of the difference between William Woods and here, and it's a toss up. So I will bring up the Central Methodist and give them the numbers, and they can reach out to Roger, and we'll see what'll happen.
I'm going up there tomorrow. That's why I asked.
Okay. Yeah, they have not. I have not brought it up to them yet. Okay. So settings, is that settings on Zoom?
Yeah.
What's that?
So Warrensburg is still the #1 teacher college in the state university.
Is it?
Really? No kidding. Well, our meetings are in the College of Education building. So it's Leveren's Hall is what it's called. So
They do more than MU?
Yeah,
Really?
they were one of the first teacher colleges in the state.
I think I saw 1871 somewhere over there. That was when it was started.
Yep.
That's at the Lutheran college that Mandy went to used to be called the Teachers College.
Right.
There in Chicago.
Mm-hmm. That's what they used to be called here also.
Paying tuition there, that's how
Is that #2 going there?
#3.
#3. All right. Checking them off.
One more to go.
Okay, so I'm trying to find settings
Dave,
down here.
is there another speaker?
No, Jerry can fill in the time and
Oh,
You are the speaker, Jerry.
okay. Well, if I knew there was some action up there somewhere on the dorm floor, I'd go up. Although you probably wouldn't want to see it right now because it was dark when I came
Not before 8
down.
o'clock.
Not before 8 o'clock. No, and even at 8 o'clock, these kids are going to be dragging today because they party hardied last night. we've got, I think, is one of the best DJs that I have ever seen that puts his all into this. It's Rich Linden. He's the owner of Linden Group. He does public events. He is sports commentator. He does public announcing. He's got the contract for the Western Athletic Conference and several other things. And he was just rocking it out with the kids. I don't know if it would work if I would play a little clip, but he was leading the kids in the songs, and he knows it, and it's all good, clean, and the kids, the party started when they work hard. Basically yesterday, they started the Amazing Race, which is the vehicle by which they learn how to do the service project. They have roadblocks and they have detours, just like on the Amazing Race show, and they have tasks to do, such as develop your goals, develop your budget. Who is it you're going to need? Are you going to need time? You're going to need talent? You're going to need money? So they're all working on that. Some of the groups come together. Some of the groups don't. This has been after a day, Tuesday, let's see, today's Wednesday, Monday, we did a lot of team building exercises. You throw a bunch of tennis balls out in a circle, and we blindfold one of the participants. They have to guide each other through the circle. And if you go to MissouriRYLA.com, some of the pictures will be up, some won't. And there's a private group, Missouri RYLA Part 2, 2021 Part 2. You can try to get in, but last night, instead of denied, we decided to start saying, chuck it, and just say, nope, you're out, because some of the kids didn't have their raffle tickets. They give away prizes, and the kids, they were tough. They were tough. They didn't want to try the 4-way test on these guys. They said, nope, you're supposed to have it with you all the time. And so the saying became, chuck the ticket, chuck it, chuck it, chuck it. So, but it was good time. The team building challenged the kids. They do things, like I said, a rope circle with a bunch of tennis balls in it, blindfold your partner. You've got to get across the minefield, being guided by your partner. You can do it several ways. One of the ways is they do it individually. So as they go along, only one person. Want to kick it up a notch, you can have all of the guiders, let's say, talking at the same time. So the people that are trying to cross the minefield, they have to try to pick out the voice of their individual partner and only focus in on that. We do a river of lava, the acid river, also called, and they have, it's about 25 feet long. Everybody has to get from one end of the river bank to the other end of the river bank using magic turtles, which are about maybe an 8x12 block, 2x2. You lay the block down, student steps on it, and before they move off that block, somebody else also has to touch the block. So 2 people have to be touching a block. If you don't touch the block, if somebody steps off a block, you lose a block. And we always start out with 1 less blocks than there are students. So they have to figure out how to lay the blocks out, how to get people across the acid river. If you step in the river, well, you die. Or actually what we do is then we start blindfolding and muting people so they can't speak, or somebody has to wear a blindfold, and you start over and continue every time. Yesterday or Tuesday, our group got down to the last 2 blocks, and one of the students jumped from the last box over into the safe zone, but he did it right before anybody else touched the block. So sadly, Actually, it was kind of gleefully, we removed the block. So then it was twice as far for them to get from the last block into the safe zone. And they work, they strategize. And then this is after we've taken the true colors personality test. I don't know if you guys have ever taken that or taken a Myers-Briggs or something like that. And they figure out what kind of personality they are. I don't know if you can see, it's going to show up. Then we give them bracelets right here. And this is the primary color. This is the secondary color. Blue is the touchy-feely. Green is the organized taskmaster. There's also gold. Gold is also taskmaster, rule follower. You have to, this is the way we see it. Orange is the fly by the seat of your pants. Let's try it first, and then we'll have a great thing. One of the way Rich explains it is you walk over to a cliff and the greens will strategize. The oranges will say, let's just go for it. And after they jump off the cliff, it's like, uh-oh, what happens next? We don't know what we're going to do. And the golds will say, well, what are the rules? What are the rules? And it's trying to get all of these students to work together to come up with a great service project. And the service projects from past RYLAs are online on MissouriRYLA.com, and you can click on them and watch the slide presentations. Years and years ago, we used to do a cut and paste and make a gigantic booklet out of poster board and construction paper and colors and all kinds of stuff. But as soon as most of the schools started going to Google Docs, we switched over, and now they have to do a Google Doc presentation. And what's going to happen, they had about 4 hours yesterday to work on it. They'll get another hour and a half this morning to continue to work on it. And then this afternoon, they present to the groups their projects, and they have to explain about it. It's like if they would come in and want us to get involved with a particular project, they would come in and give the sales pitch. And it's kind of like a Shark Tank. The educators grade their projects on, is it visually appealing? Or is the font wide enough for everybody to see? Are you speaking up? Does everybody have a part in it? And then the Rotarians, we judge it on the viability of the project. Does it make sense? Does the budget make sense? One of the groups last session, they wanted to go over into Africa because they learned that a particular school, they had a rope bridge that the students had to cross the rope bridge to get to school. Well, one of the things they budgeted for is $55,000 for their group to go over and build the bridge. So, little unrealistic, and that's what we graded on. Is it a realistic project? Our group, last time, they wanted to build private latrines for a school in Eritrea, and I think I talked about that, and it was good. We tied for 4th place. So they get points for doing particular tasks in the Amazing Race, but most of the points come from their presentation. This year, it's kind of interesting. We have a gentleman from the state of Tennessee. He runs the Nashville RYLA. I forgot what district that's in, but he's here to observe, to see how we do things, because Missouri RYLA is truly a model. We are one of the only few RYLAs that are meeting in person this year. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hook up my phone. I'm going to join the meeting by phone so I can start showing some of they're starting to, the youngins are starting to stir. So I'll use that.
What kind of projects did you have at your last session?
Last session, we had safe havens for families that were in domestic abuse situations. We had the bridge, the school bridge. We had like a reading buddy session for some of the, and let me, okay, so connecting the meeting, yeah, I got it. And I want to turn the camera around. So let's see, I'm going to do no audio on that one. And
There is
Just
some
turning me
behind
on
that.
now.
so actually, I think that's one of the Mormon groups. Can you see out there? Oh, no. Okay,
Oh.
wait a minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure we can.
Okay, yeah, I can see what it's on the screen. So it's, oh, there we go. So this is the wonderful commuter lounge. No students, no male students are allowed in the female section of the dorm. No females are allowed on the male section of the dorm. So this is one of the few places when they have free time, they can gather together. Let's go back to the projects from the last time. In the past, we've had the donation of books to the kids, and anywhere from sanitation, any one of the 7 areas of focus. The students that the program has to be, or the project has to be one of those. And many years ago, it was hunger. Hunger was the only thing you could do the project on. And that one of the new executive directors came in, their curriculum directors, and say, you know what, why are we limiting them? Let's just turn them loose and see what they can come up with. Don't know exactly yet what some of the other groups, because it's top secret. We do have spies that like to roam around, so we try not to talk too much about it in public. And our kids, my group, and there's nobody in here, so I can speak freely. They had a project. First, they were going to build they wanted to stop sex trafficking, which is what their project still is, but they wanted to go to country in Latin America, Venezuela, and build a shelter for people and rescue them for sex trafficking. One of the things they get to do is they get to have 5 minutes with an expert. So they can pick anybody on staff and get 5 minutes with them and ask them questions. In the beginning, the counselors are not allowed to help them at all. We can't, I mean, some of us stretch the 4-way test and try to suggest things, or, you know, we may think out loud on the whiteboard and just write some questions down. But our group was gung-ho about that. They wanted to go to Venezuela. So one of their experts was a medical care professional from Kansas City. And she said, well, first of all, guys, have you thought about this? Venezuela is a communist country, and they're not going to be too keen on Americans coming in and setting up this kind of shelter in their communistic regime. And the kids went, huh? And it was like, no, they control everything there. So the second question was from the expert is, how much do you have budgeted for your building? And the kids went, what? She said, yeah, you know, you're gonna build this building. What are you looking at as far as your budget? And they thought about it. She said, well, I'll give you an example. One of the organizations she's involved in Kansas City, they're purchasing a building and it's going to cost them $4 million. And the kid's eyes got about as big as dollar coins. And it was like, oh, well, what about renting? So she kind of told them about how much rent would be. And So now they've kind of transitioned into, they're going to hold a walk for a group in Kansas City, an anti-sex trafficking group called A21. And so they're going to hold a walk as a fundraiser. And now they're just trying to work through logistics of who do you need to contact? Well, they've got that figured out, the Kansas City Parks Division, and get a permit. When we were finally let loose to be able to help them, which was about 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon, one of the things I suggest is it doesn't have to be at a park. It can be at a school. Many school districts will let you use their track, but you do have to contact people. So they have to figure out who they have to contact, who they need help with, what they need for funding to hold this. They were talking about a 3K, a 5K run going along with it. And the other co-counselor is an admissions rep at Park University, and he's also coaches basketball. He said, well, okay, so what's in it for me? And the kids went, what? He said, yeah, what's in it for me? He said, first of all, what are you going to charge? $30 a person. And he said, what do they get? What do you mean, what do they get? He said, most people are not going to do something unless they get, I mean, the Rotarians will, and really good-hearted people, but if you want the general public in, what's going to be the hook to get them? Oh, t-shirts. Okay, how much are the t-shirts going to cost? We don't know. So then they use their laptop, their phones. Most of these kids are doing everything on their phone. It is just amazing to watch this. They're editing their slides, they're adding in text on their phones, and it's like, holy crap, I can't even see my phone on those documents, let alone plan it. So they have to, they researched how much, and they found t-shirt companies. One of our youngsters is, I think it's in St. Louis, Operation Brightfield or something like that. It's a preschool. It might be Kansas City, but it's a preschool up through early elementary grades, and they take low income, high achieving people. And he kind of told us about it. We do a segment called Your Stories. So we kind of everybody gets to tell their own story of their life, whatever they wish to talk about. It can be anything from bad family karma, good family karma. Some of the kids in our group said, I feel kind of guilty because I've got a great family life. And we explained that's okay. That, you don't have to have problems, but why is it that we need to know where people are coming from? And it's in order to figure out why they have a certain perspective on things. Somebody who's come through a difficult family life, they may not be as trusting. They may, one of the girls said, every male figure in my life has always left. About the time I get attached, she's got a single mom. My dad left, they got divorced. Then she had a boyfriend, and I really got, to know him and could feel comfortable talking to him. And she said, and he left. And then my best friend, who happened to be a male, left. And so it's kind of like, where do you come from, and how does that impact on how you work together to solve problems? One of the stories I told him, we had a young lady that Mary Kay worked with at the Early Childhood Center who was had a really tough go. Her mom was on and off drugs. The kid had bad attendance, so that's why she was at the reentry center. That's what it was called at the time, Husky Academy now. Ended up, mom kicked her out of the house. She ended up living with mom's ex-boyfriend in Kirkwood, and it was all good. They didn't have to get DFS involved or anything other than the mom. But the mom's ex-boyfriend would drive her to school. He couldn't always get her there on time. Well, her first hour teacher and I were talking. I was explaining that to the first hour teacher, and the teacher went, wow, I wish I would have known that. That explains a whole lot about this kid's behavior. Exactly. That's why you need to know kind of the story of the people and who you work with. As far as the personality conflict, I told them the story of two assistant principals we had, and whenever we would have, and Mike, I don't know, you may have been around when a couple of these were there at the high school, but they would just in the meetings just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk to death and talk something, just talk it to death. And it drove me crazy because I usually have a tendency to sit back and wait until I have something profound to say, or at least to me, it's profound. And these two, it would hardly ever shut up, and none of the rest of us could get a word in edgewise. And so Tony Robinson came in and he had us do a processing inventory on how you processed information. It turns out that these two were external processors. They had to pretty much talk through themselves to themselves or to others on their thought process on how it was working. Those of us that are internal processors like me, we kind of sit back and run it all through our heads. And then when we get it sorted out, then we speak. And that kind of helped most of us understand, at least with me, it was like, oh, so you're not just flapping your gums just to hear yourself talk. You're really trying to work through this problem. And it became much easier to work with those two people at the time. Then we got a new principal who just, it was driving him crazy. And I pulled him aside one day and I said, these guys they're outside processors. Tony, we did this thing and you're an inside processor. So it bugs us. And he said, yeah. He said, but do they have to drone on and drone on, drone on? And, it just is crazy. It's driving me nuts. And so, yeah, they do. But it didn't help in that situation between the principal and the assistant. So, but that's all what we're trying to get them to do is learn how to do this. And the end result is, if you go out there and look on the MissouriRYLA.com site, it's projects that people from all over the world, they tap in, they keep track of who taps in, how many hits we have on Missouri RYLA, because we do a lot of hashtags and RYLA clubs. Valerie and Rich presented at a Rotary International convention, the one that was in Germany. And they presented, so they got other people. That's how they got connected with this gentleman from Nashville. And other countries tap in, other clubs tap in to see what kind of projects. And they've had at least 4 projects that they know of that Rotary clubs around the world, around the country have picked up, and they've run with it because the kids did such a good job. 2 years ago, the students were talking about they had a plan for an all-inclusive playground for their town. They didn't have wheelchair accessible playground. So they worked it out. They found out how much it was going to cost, who they were going to have to get permission to help build it, the contractors, what kind of equipment it was. They did a great job. And the incoming he had transitioned into the district governor while we're here. He went up to them and he said, I've got 4 clubs, I don't remember what town it was, that want to go together to do this. He said, now, I will invite you guys down. You can come present what you did exactly like you did it, or we can just take it. And the kids they were pumped by that. They were just actually to be able to think that their idea was going to be covered and their idea was actually going to happen. And I think it did happen. I think COVID kind of halted everything for a little while, but they picked it up. Some of the things we could pick up. One of the things we always like to tell them and teach them about Rotary as we go, and it's a lot better now than it used to be. We have Rotary moments. We talk about the four-way test. We talk about how different Rotarians have different passions. It's speed dating with a Rotarian. So they get to meet each Rotarian. They talk about the clubs. What? What?
Technical difficulties here.
Oh, okay. Where did you lose me? Or did you? Am I still here? Maybe not. Can you hear me now? Uh-oh. Ring.
Try it now.
Oh, I was going to say, ring the bell, meeting's over. So, 7:37. But anyway, it's great. The kids are starting to stir now a little bit, and the counselors up on the floors right now, we try to be nice to them. They have optional morning exercise. We have some people that are crazy into CrossFit. So he has taken them. Now this morning we said there is no optional exercise, but he takes them through CrossFit workouts, lunges, and these kids come back. They're in great shape. They're athletes, and they are sweating, and they are huffing and puffing, and it's like he has worn them out. But this morning they get to sleep in. So about 7:45, we start pounding on doors, making sure people are up, make sure people are awake. This session, normally we get to eat here in the dorm, the last session, but now we have to take about an 8-minute walk. So down in the commuter lounge at about 8:15, it'll start filling up with the RYLarians, with the students, and we do a final attendance. We walk together as a group. Now on the way, some of us get lagging behind, and it may stretch out for 2 or 3 blocks as we go. But and then we eat the wonderful, absolutely delicious dorm food. Let's see, what did we have for dinner last night?
Jerry, is that part of the that was part of the four-way test? Is that the truth? Okay, just saying.
Yeah, actually, the pork loin that we had for dinner last night was comparable to one of the ones we would get at the grocery store. Now, I'll back up, and the truth, last session we had some chicken nuggets for lunch one day, and they reminded me of the waffles from Rousseau's. They were that hard, and I cut into one, and it's like, where's the chicken? I see the breading, but where's the chicken? One of the guys had hash browns yesterday morning, a hash brown patty, and he said, where are the potatoes? And they were crisp. So they deep fried them, and they were good. It's not bad. We had chicken parmesan one day. Usually scrambled eggs, at least French toast sticks. It's kind of a no disrespect to our food service personnel, but it's kind of a little step up from the school breakfast, and it's all you can eat. So these kids, they can go back for more if they want to. I've been back for seconds on the eggs because I've just gotten hungry, and I'm still working real hard on watching my diet. So I did burn off enough calories. On Tuesday, there are several of us that have trackers. On Tuesday, I ended up walking 8.6 miles. A couple of the other people ended up enough steps for about 6 miles, 7 miles. It just depends. I'm averaging about 13,000 steps a day now, and normally if I get to 8, I'm lucky. If I have to work at it to get to that, unless I go out and walk the neighborhood. But it's we're getting a good non-aerobic workout, because it's whenever my Fitbit tracks it automatically, it says leisurely walk less than 2 miles an hour. So it's kind of like, okay, but I add up my calories, and I'm one of the days I was at a calorie overload, because I partook in dessert too much. And every night, the male counselors, we have we call it a programming meeting, and we bring crackers and cheese, and somebody usually brings summer sausage. And so after the kids go to bed, we have our meeting, and tend to go a little overboard on that. We did a taste test with it's the canned cheese, the squirt cheese. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. You buy them in the unhealthy food section, and it's like the old whipped cream where you push on a nozzle and it sprays. We did a taste test between the cheddar cheese. Oh, and that one was put up on Facebook yesterday, because I had some friends comment. We kind of broke the code of silence, and Rich kind of filmed a little bit of the meeting on what we were about. So I know that one's on Facebook if you look up Missouri RYLA. And so I kind of overdid it. Normally I get as a treat, Reese's thin peanut butter cups. Usually I'll have 1 or 2. That night I sat there and had 7. So and then I had a handful of crackers. I hadn't tried the canned cheese in a long time, so I squirted a little bit on, and it was just as bad as I remember it being. By the way, if you decide you want to do that, and you go to the store and you can't decide between the American and the cheddar, well, according to our taste test, the only difference is the color that they added to the cheese. The American and the cheddar it tasted exactly the same. Now, one of the counselors this time brought in a non-Nabisco thing, and it was called Cheddar Elite. I tried that this time, and I thought it was just as bad, but the consensus of the group was it was a better squirt cheese than the other cheeses. So it was a shorter production meeting last night. We were all kind of worn out, but what I'll do is I will post on Facebook. This guy, Rich Linden, who's the curriculum director, he is the best DJ I have ever seen in my life. He has, part of his gift and talents is he can read the crowd. He can read what goes on, what the mood is, and he'll play different songs for that. And my duty for that is usually outside. Usually at William Woods, we have it in their alumni center, and there's a deck, and so somebody's outside with the kids, and there's a lake. So I have graciously volunteered all these years to be the person to be out by the lake to make sure no kids go skinny dipping or swimming in the lake. And I'm not really inside. This year we had an area where they could go out, and I graciously again volunteered to make sure the perimeter is secure, and because truthfully it's a little bit too loud for me in there. But I went in at the end, they bring all the counselors in, and it's really, he was up there standing on his subwoofers leading the kids. He's got this, he calls it his Britney Spears headphone mic, the big one that comes around like Garth Brooks wears. And he was singing the songs. He had the kids actively involved. Even some of our physically challenged students were out there dancing and having a great time. He calls it a party, not a dance, because He doesn't want the kids to feel bad. Every now and again, we'll have an intern, which is a former RYLArian. At our first group this year, we had a student that was above and beyond. I mean, this kid he would pull people into activities if somebody would sit by themselves at the table in the cafeteria. It is almost that time. He would go over and sit with that student and bring them over and include them in the group. And so Michael Behan, some of you may have known him. He was past district governor of the 60-40, no, what is it, 60-80? Is that the middle section?
60-80.
60-80, okay. He was past district governor, and he would always come to Fulton and bring the Fulton Rotary Club. He came and told his story one time, and about a month later, we found out he passed away. So that we have the Michael Behan Award. Sometimes he gets awarded, and the student that wins that is invited back as a student intern. And again, this kid, his name is Kenneth. He would get the students hyped up. If somebody wasn't dancing, he'd go over and get them involved. Still, again, holds the door for people. And their basic job at this is to be a gopher, but they also get to see the behind the scenes goings on and the inner workings. Last night, they sent him to Walmart for a Walmart run. And where we are here on campus, there's a pedestrian bridge that goes over one of the busiest streets, kind of like Midland. And as he's going down towards the Walmart, he's yelling out of his car as the kids were all crossing the bridge, "Go RYLA, go RYLA," and just having a great time. And we looked down, and there's a Warrensburg police officer following behind him, and we all were kind of watching to make sure he didn't get pulled over for overly being rambunctious. But so it's a great time. Today we're going to wrap it up. About 4 o'clock, the students' parents come pick them up, and some of them have a long drive, some of them don't. We have 3 students that are actually from Warrensburg, which is, we rarely get that many students from Fulton. They still need more emphasis and to get more students from the St. Louis area. Could be Warrensburg kind of put some of them off this time. It's about a 3.5-hour drive from St. Louis. But it's getting better. The ratio, boys to girls, there's 26 boys and about 66 girls at this particular academy. So we overheard one of the moms as she dropped off her son. She said, "Son, I do not want you getting into an argument over a girl this weekend. There are enough to go around, so just find somebody else." And so that was kind of funny, and it's you get the little romances. It was really this will be my closing. It was really interesting. 2 kids, they recognized each other and they got up and they went and hugged. And we're all thinking, "Whoa, man, it's a long lost cousin." And Rich is actually making fun. They had kind of started a Zoom romance, had never met each other in person, did not know that they were coming to RYLA, and they actually met themselves at RYLA. One of the and they walk together, and we try to keep them separated, but it's Rich and his wife's 15th anniversary was yesterday, and they spent it at RYLA. So one of the counselors had made a veil out of a headband and a lace, made him Rich a bow tie, and we recognized them as a surprise. And one of the guys is an accomplished musician. He played a song. We made them dance, and Rich actually said, "Well, on our honeymoon, we were actually taking Kansas City students to the Shakespeare Festival, so we never got to do a wedding dance. So this was our wedding dance," and it was kind of special, So there's a lot of love. lot of love that goes around, and we really get attached to these kids. I don't know if I've told you guys this or not, but I have some from one of my first RYLA groups. I've watched them grow up on Facebook, get married. They're having children now, and it's really kind of cool to see, and they keep in contact with each other. So this is a great situation. Like I told you guys at the last meeting, I went home to Nolen and I said, you got 3 years, buddy, and you're going to this. Yeah, you know, and that's the range. There's kids who have parents as Rotarians, kids who have no knowledge why they're here. And it's just a mix, but by today, they're lifelong friends, they're pals, they're buddies. And the ultimate thing is we're teaching them how to take these skills back home and do a service project back home. So that's why we try to do rising juniors, because then the community and the school will have them for a couple of years. Heather, one of my goals, Mike, is still to try to get an interact club going at the high school. And Heather, I know that you're highly interested in that. So that was one of my biggest disappointments as activities director, is I didn't get that going. So maybe now I can get it going, and Heather and I can work it out. And so it's just Bill Cordy. Mike, do you remember Bill Cordy? Yeah. He, when I joined Rotary, he said, you've got to get involved in the community. And Jack Williams is a Rotarian, so you're going to go to the Rotary meetings. And he said, I came back with that idea once, and he said, we're not going to have any of those junior Rotary clubs in my building. And it was kind of like, okay, whatever, Bill was kind of that way. But it's great. This is fantastic. Next year when we do it, if you just want to come up and spend the day, that's great. It is amazing to see. It's amazing to watch these kids grow, and we hope they continue to grow. And it's about time. I see them stirring around outside, so I'm going to ask Dave to ring the bell and call this a meeting. And thank you all for letting me pop in and ramble on about RYLA, because I don't know if you can tell, I'm kind of passionate about it, and it's real important to me.
Great program. Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you. And I wish I could have, I don't know how to incorporate the videos into this, but I'll post some on the Facebook, because the kids all have to sign releases that we can use their pictures. And so it's up, but don't try to join Missouri RYLA 2021.2 Part 2, because they will ask, does anybody know Tom Drennan? Yeah, I know Tom, I know who he is. Chuck it! And it used to be denied, but now the new saying is chuck it, denied, he can't join. And so that's what happens. But anyway, it's time. Somebody ring the bell. If you don't want to ring the bell, have a great time. I will see you guys next week. And then we're off to Florida for a couple of weeks for vacation. Since this would be 8 o'clock Florida time, I'll probably join you guys from Florida, but I'll be there in person next week.
All right. Thanks,
all right. Thank you, guys. Thank you for supporting RYLA. And I still have to find out whether we get credit for our student that didn't show up. So anyway, have a great day, gentlemen and ladies. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your weekend.
You too, Jerry. And
bye.
For you on behalf of the club, there is coming, but it isn't in yet. Okay. So I've been told. Brian arranged all of this. So that is yours for stepping up on second year and carrying it through. Yes.
You want to?
Nice. Looks familiar. Thank you.
Oh, that's a fancy one.
It is. That's great. That's a Nike drive there.
All right.
Awesome.
Okay, guys, I'll see you later. I gotta go.
Take care, Jerry. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
They're here. And it goes that way?
This was